And Democrats ejected as scuffles break out over who is in control of LegCo's House Committee. Another day of no new COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong. And White House is accused of suppressing CDC report advising when and how to reopen amid the pandemic.
Good evening, everyone. Drama and scuffles in LegCo today as rival lawmakers fought over the right to chair the House committee.
In the end, Chairwoman Starry Lee expelled the Pan-Democrats a bunch at a time, resulting in at least one injury. Pinky Wong reports.
The chaos erupted shortly after the panel on education finished its meeting at around 1 p.m. in Conference Room 1. House Committee Chairwoman Starry Lee headed into the same room where the meeting was to be held at 2:30 p.m. Under escort, Lee successfully took the chairperson's seat from Regina Ip after the previous meeting came to an end. Pan-Democratic lawmakers including Ted Hui, Jeremy Tam and Wu Chi-wai tried but failed to stop Lee from taking the seat. Around 30 guards were minding Lee, stopping the Pan-Democrats from getting close. The standoff ensued, with pro-democracy lawmakers accusing security staff of obstructing legislators' duties. Rival lawmakers held up their mobile phones to broadcast the situation online. Without wearing a mask, pro-Beijing lawmaker Junius Ho started more bickering between the two sides. Council Front's Ray Chan tried to move around the chairs, but security personnel stopped him from doing so. The incumbent deputy chair of the meeting, Dennis Kwok, tried to negotiate with Starry Lee, but in vain. At around 2:30 p.m., the LegCo secretariats and legal advisors made their way to their seats. Chi Hoi-tek climbed the wall, trying to get close to Starry Lee. More scuffles broke out, with pro-establishment lawmaker Kwok Wai-kang seen pushing and dragging Ray Chan on the floor. Lee began the meeting amid the chaos and asked members to return to their seats. Failing to heed her instructions, Lee kicked out multiple Pan-Democrats, citing their disruption to the meeting. While Lee insisted she had the right to chair and hold the meeting, the pro-democracy camp accused her of abusing power. The meeting was adjourned for 5 minutes so paramedics could attend to Andrew Wan, who was injured after being ordered out by Lee. Calm did not return after the meeting eventually resumed at around 5 p.m. A member of security was injured and taken away after Kwok Wing-kin of the Labour Party had a conflict with the guards. Pinky Wong, TVB News.
As the House committee debated over who should chair the meeting, LegCo's legal advisor waded in and backed the incumbent chair, Starry Lee, who is also the DAB leader. Jackie Lin has that story.
As the 17th meeting to elect the House Committee chairman descended into chaos, verbal arguments over the chairmanship continued.
We have been stalled for over 6 months. There are tons of stuff that has been in the storeroom, so to speak, and that need to be dealt with. And so we are trying to do that because of the impasse.
The deputy chairman and Pan-Democrat Dennis Kwok repeated the argument that the House rules clearly spell out his right to chair the meeting.
The first order of business should always be the election of the chairman. So in accordance with the rules of procedure, if the chairman of the House committee, i.e. Starry Lee, is being nominated for office, then as the deputy chairman, I am the presiding member.
After Starry Lee wrested control of the chairman's seat in the afternoon session, Pan-Democrats cited conflicts of interest, saying Lee shouldn't chair the committee while standing for re-election.
You want to be the House Committee Chairman? Do you have any sense of shame? You want everybody to prepare your future path. You have made very serious allegations against me. Had we been able to elect a chairman this morning, then this meeting would be convened and chaired by the new chairman.
LegCo's in-house legal advisor weighed in and revised their earlier stance, which went against Starry Lee.
The Secretariat did not foresee such a situation. It's not the case that we changed our interpretation back in October. We have to tackle the situation. The Secretariat's view is that the functions and duties of Ms. Starry Lee is related to the election of a chairperson.
She added that the House rules are meant to facilitate the operation of LegCo meetings instead of being used to paralyze them. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Hong Kong reported no new coronavirus cases today. It's the 12th day that the city has reported 0 new confirmed cases since the 20th of April. It has also seen 19 consecutive days with no local infections, with the infection count staying at 1,044. 16 more people have been discharged from hospital, bringing the total recoveries from COVID to 959.
Close to 2.5 million people have registered for those government reusable masks, but new questions are being raised about its effectiveness. Caleb Bloom reports.
The number of people who have registered for the Q mask may have exceeded 2 million, but some remain skeptical. This includes lawmaker Lam Cheuk Ting during a finance committee meeting in LegCo this morning. He questioned the government why the original design of the mask was not used, although it was awarded a medal in Geneva.
You claim to have that mild magnetic field to immobilize bacteria, but this is not what this Q mask is about. So can you tell the public specifically whether you've been misled by the manufacturers or even the manufacturer has got it wrong?
The government and the mask developer held a press conference in the afternoon to clarify some details.
This is an improved version of that because we can actually wash this 60 times as opposed to the original Geneva mask, which can only be used for 20 times. Whether the mechanism to achieve that, I think, is insignificant, well, not as significant compared to the functionality of what we're trying to achieve here.
As for why the purchase of the mask did not undergo a tendering process, the government said the epidemic situation prohibited it from doing so. Caleb Loon, TVB News.
Top U.S. and Chinese trade representatives have come back to the table with promises to create favorable conditions for a trade truce between the two countries. State media on the mainland says the agreement was made during a phone call between Vice Premier Liu He, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. Two sides reportedly agreed to create a favorable atmosphere to implement the China-U.S. Phase 1 trade deal. This comes as Trump continually blames China for the coronavirus pandemic.
In the U.S., the Trump administration is under fire for shelving a report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that provides detailed advice to local authorities on reopening restaurants and other public places.
Critics say the White House is more worried about potential negative economic impact than public safety. The 17-page blueprint was created to help state and local officials, business owners, and educators as they begin to reopen.
States are requesting an incredible amount of information. They're desperate for information. And that's why CDC felt that it wanted to produce this guidance document.
It was supposed to be published last Friday, but a CDC official says agency scientists were told the document would never see the light of day. Since it moved to center stage, the White House Coronavirus Task Force has been controlling the release of guidance and information during the pandemic. The Trump administration has sought to make states responsible for handling outbreak responses as it tries to distance itself from the country's lackluster early testing efforts. The CDC, which gives guidance and science-based information during public health crises, has not had a regular pandemic-related news briefing in nearly 2 months.
These are the nation's foremost disease investigators, and so they want access to their expertise as they make these really difficult decisions about, how to open and when to open.
White House officials have argued the virus is affecting various parts of the country differently.
Viruses know no borders nationally, but they certainly don't know any state borders. The point is that we want to open up, but not in a way that causes more deaths.
Meanwhile, a top aide to the president says he has tested negative for the coronavirus, despite a positive test result for one of his valets. That person tested positive on Wednesday.
The U.S. government is set to report the worst set of jobs numbers since record-keeping began in 1948. Economists expect the unemployment rate for April could reach 16% or more. That would mean that nearly all the job growth in the 11 years since the Great Recession ended vanished in 1 month. But the employment snapshot won't fully capture the scope of the economic devastation from the coronavirus outbreak. Many people who are still employed have had their hours cut or wages reduced. Economists at the San Francisco Federal Reserve say the jobless rate could remain in double digits until the end of 2021.
Coming up on tonight's news, bars and other leisure venues reopen after being shut because of the pandemic. Case dropped against former U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Flynn.
Welcome back. Hong Kong started easing more social distancing measures today. This means various entertainment venues are reopened.
Seating limits for eateries are also raised to 8 per table. Dong Yao shows us how businesses are resuming as the coronavirus outbreak recedes.
Hong Kongers are resuming their normal leisure lives under a receding coronavirus epidemic. Bars, gyms, cinemas, beauty salons, many entertainment sites finally reopened today as the city eases social distancing measures. This fitness center in Causeway Bay opened for the first time in more than a month with health protection measures and a reduced capacity to curb infections.
Before, it's my shop just 6 to 10 customers for 1 hour. So now we need to change 3 to 5%.
The owner says his clients have been waiting so long to do workouts, and all his 3 fitness centers have been fully booked till June.
But even with the packed schedule, he says it will take some time for his gyms and beauty salons to recover from the huge losses incurred from the forced closures.
I think we lost more than $1 million. We need 6 months.
Many types of businesses can resume operations today as social distancing orders are relaxed. Bars can only operate at half capacity with no more than 4 people per table. And no live music or dancing either. Nightclubs, saunas, karaoke lounges, and party rooms remained closed for another 14 days. Restaurants also benefit from a relaxation of the rules as the limit for people at each table is raised from 4 to 8. This restaurant in Mong Kok was nearly full during its morning dim sum time. The manager says reservations they received for the Mother's Day weekend has more than tripled since the new measures were announced. Still, restaurants must set tables 1.5 meters apart, and diners are also required to wear masks while not eating. The latest round of social distancing rules will last until May the 21st. Dong Yao Nie, TVB News.
Following a period of relative calm, protest activities are returning to Hong Kong shopping malls. This afternoon, some responded to online calls and took their protests to the IFC Mall in Central. Police used similar tactics in recent demonstrations to cordon off sections of the mall. Some were frisked, others were issued tickets for illegally or allegedly flouting the gathering ban. Some were angry with police's handling of the situation. A man who said he was a journalist was subdued and taken to the fire escape stairwell. As some media workers pursued, some officers pepper sprayed them. They were later treated by volunteer medics. The U.S. Justice Department is dropping the criminal case against President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn.
Trump applauded the decision and railed against the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation that led to the charges. Alan Booknear reports.
The action by the Justice Department is a stunning reversal for one of the signature cases brought by special counsel Robert Mueller. It comes even though prosecutors have maintained for the past 3 years that Flynn lied to the FBI in a January 27 interview about his conversations with the Russian ambassador. Flynn initially pleaded guilty before later asking to withdraw the plea. Thursday's action was swiftly embraced by President Donald Trump.
He was an innocent man. He is a great gentleman. He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president. And what they've done is a disgrace, and I hope a big price is going to be paid.
Trump took his attack against the Obama administration further.
They're scum. The Obama administration, Justice Department, was a disgrace. And they got caught. They got caught. Very dishonest people, but much more than dishonest. It's treason.
The case against Flynn was dropped after a special prosecutor reviewing it decided his contacts with the Russian ambassador were entirely appropriate. The prosecutor was appointed by Attorney General William Barr. The decision adds to Democratic complaints that Barr is excessively loyal to the president. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Barr's politicization of justice knows no bounds and accused the Justice Department of dropping the case to continue to cover up for the president. Alan Booknear, TVB News.
That's the news. Have a great weekend.
Good night.